All right, and we just hit 11 a.m. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to today's webinar. It's titled Networking and Prospecting, presented by LCT. I'm Lexi Tucker, the Associate Editor here at LCT, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. I encourage you to ask questions during the webinar at any point in the chat box, and we'll try to address as many of them as possible after the initial presentation. Before I go ahead and introduce our speaker, I'd like to remind you that the LCT Technology Summit, held at the Edition Hotel in Miami Beach from April 29th to May 1st, is approaching fast. Early bird prices end today and hotel discounts end tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss this opportunity for relaxation and education all in one place. So be sure to go to lctsummit.com for more information. So now I'm going to give you a little bit about our presenter. He's LCT's longtime contributing editor, Mr. Jim Luff. He retired as the CEO of the limousine scene after 22 years of service. He began his career in 1990 driving a private limo for country music legend Merle Haggard, and he now serves as the marketing manager for Chosen Payments. In 1993, he began working as a chauffeur for the limousine scene, at the time a three-car operation. He became general manager a year later, and later the managing partner. Today, the company operates 38 vehicles and employs 88 people with service contracts from Chevron, Exxon, Dole, Shell Oil, Sunworld, and other Fortune 500 companies. In 2004, he joined the LCT team as a contributing writer. Jim operates a private consulting business assisting limousine companies throughout the United States in the development of employee handbooks, marketing campaigns, and financial strategies, as well as serving as an expert witness for attorneys involved in passenger injury litigation. Luff was named Operator of the Year by both LCT Magazine and the former Limousine Digest magazine. When he's not working in the industry, Jim is involved in many charitable organizations, including serving as the president of two children's charities, Children's Advocates Resource Endowment and Kern Partnership for Children and Families, an organization serving foster children and their families. He also serves on the board of directors of the Kern County 911 Foundation, the Secret Witness Program, the Fairy Godmother Foundation, and the League of Dreams, where he is the principal event planner for an athletic program serving special needs children. As you can see, network is very important in Jim's community work and industry work. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and hand things off to Jim.
Thank you, Lexi, for that nice introduction and all the things that I do, and sleep is not something that I ever get to do. So anyway, I do believe that success is achieved through networking, and I've had the fantastic opportunity to meet so many people that have helped me further in my career. And I know as a young entrepreneur, when I started attending Chamber of Commerce mixers, I felt very awkward, socially awkward, because I really didn't know anybody. And I realized quickly that people genuinely like to make people feel welcome. So I would say the number one tip that I have in networking is to realize that people genuinely are happy that you came. Even if they don't know you, they're interested in getting to know you, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in detail in a little bit. But before we get started too far, I want to share a story about an early networking opportunity when I met a guy that had just started a sandwich shop in my community. So a little deli, it was definitely a little mom and pop deli, and I met the owner of it, and some of you may recognize his name right away, and if you don't, at the conclusion of this little story, you certainly will. But the owner of that sandwich shop, his name was and is Kevin McCarthy. So Kevin McCarthy today is a congressman. He is the leader of the House and considered third in command of the United States underneath the vice president. So that little introduction was a by chance thing, but much later in life, when the NLA was trying to get an appointment for Day on the Hill with various congressmen and senators to regulate Uber and other TNCs, I reached out to Kyle at the NLA office, and I asked if it would be helpful if I got a meeting with Kevin McCarthy at the White House or at the Capitol, and he referred me to Cornerstone and the people there that were representing the NLA and setting up the meetings, and they told me it likely won't happen. We've tried to get a meeting with Kevin McCarthy for the last couple of years, and we haven't been successful. So I said, well, for me, that's probably a text message, and I can make it happen. And within the next 6 weeks, the NLA president, Gary Buffo, and myself were sitting in Kevin McCarthy's office and having a chat with him about TNCs and the disruption to our industry. So my point in sharing that is that you really never know who you're going to meet when you're networking, and the success that you might enjoy from networking is really the sky is the limit. You just really don't know. So I'm going to talk about it as an art, and I learned early on that to be successful at networking, you really have to have a plan of attack in your head. You know that there's going to be cocktails, and you know that you're going to get to eat some hors d'oeuvres, but you really, really should have a plan in your head of what you plan to accomplish at this networking event. Because certainly you're not going to a networking event simply because you want to have some good hors d'oeuvres and some possible free cocktails. So never prospect with a single goal of getting new customers. The cultivation from networking should include the following: new customers, and of course that's really why we go to networking events, whether it's within our industry and we're going to networking events to meet other affiliates, such as the recent B4 Business or many other opportunities at ILCT. New vendors that can address operational issues or concerns. Whether you're at the limo industry convention or you're at your local chamber of commerce, there's always going to be vendors in the room that may help you address issues or concerns. So there are other people that you want to meet, people who can become referral sources for you. This would include anybody from somebody that works at a hotel to a travel agent to wedding coordinators. Anybody that can refer business to you, you definitely want to strike up a friendship with them. People who have access to people that you want to meet. If there's somebody in your community, let's say that you really want to meet the mayor of your community, but you don't know the mayor, but you know people that do know the mayor that are going to be at an event. Leverage these people at a networking event to do the introductions for you. Worst case scenario, you just have to walk up and introduce yourself and shake your hand and tell people what you do. We'll talk more about that later. I'm also always looking for mentors that can teach more about business. And I mean, that means all aspects of business. It's not just about running a limousine business. Like back in the day, I had no idea how valuable many of the contacts in business would become to me that could teach me why I needed to be involved with politicians, why I needed to be involved in charity events in the community, why I needed as a business to be a good steward in our community and to be involved in things far beyond simply chartering limousines and buses to people. Really, really wanted to be a part of the community. So, and the other thing, of course, is well-known members of the industry or the community. So again, depending on what type of event that you're attending, you want to get to know the people that are well-known because they're popular and they're likely to be able to open doors for you to other people or other opportunities. So now you know my plan is always network with a plan. So I'm going to divide the session up into three different sections. One is going to be networking. The next is going to be the follow-up to the networking event, and then we'll end it with Q&A. So if you have questions, I hopefully have answers towards the end of this session. So looking at the networking plan of attack, as previously mentioned, plan to arrive at a networking event with a plan. I'm going to stop right there because I have friends from two different camps. I have those that show up 10 minutes before an event starts. Their strategy is that everybody that walks in the door is a potential for them to network with. And they want to be there first, and they want to see who comes in and who they can possibly talk to. Remember, you are there to get new business. So if you have particular clients that you're interested in or potential clients, you certainly would want to have a list of those people knowing that they're going to attend, along with a list of people that might be potential mentors for you or referral sources. You can see that I use the word in this slide, exploiting. It's about exploiting anyone and everyone in the room. What can they do for you? What can you do for them? Who do they know that you want to know? And what can they do for you? And while exploiting might seem like a not very nice word, in networking, to be successful, you need to look at every person in the room as what does this person bring to the table that's of value to me, or how can I interact with this person in a positive way? And there are people that I've met that help me in my charity fundraising that I probably would have never thought about talking to about chartering a limo because they just didn't seem like the kind of person that was a potential client. But yet they were involved in the community. Translated, anytime somebody asks them, hey, do you know where we can get a bus to go to a Dodger game? I had to throw that in there since it's opening baseball day. Of course, they would say my company name. They would refer the limousine scene. And then I would have people call me and say, oh, I was referred to you by so-and-so who told me you're the best company to go with. So really examining everybody that you can in the room and having conversations with them and determining how they might be able to help you. Are they going to become a client? Are they going to refer clients to you? Or what can become of this relationship? So exploiting was a strong word. But really, I do look at everybody as, how can you help me? I've even met people. One day I was in a networking session and just mentioned to a guy who told me he ran an automotive AC shop that I was having a problem, an ongoing problem with a limo bus that kept having AC problems. I'm sure you guys have all had that happen once or twice. But anyway, he started telling me about a guy that he had that worked in his company that was an expert with these AC systems that had multiple compressors and stuff that was just out of my league. Anyway, the short end of that is I ended up taking the bus to that company. We started doing business with them on a regular basis, and he solved a problem that nobody else could solve in a 2-year period. So again, networking, you never know who you're going to meet and how they might benefit you down the road. Bring your tools. So when I say tools, obviously you need to bring business cards. Before I move on to the next one, I'm going to talk about business cards because one thing that we see at limo shows on a regular basis is business cards that have no city name. I've spoke with many affiliate managers in the industry about how they feel about this, and I can tell you that if your business card doesn't have at least the metropolitan area that you serve on it, it ends up in the garbage. If they don't know where you are to send you affiliate work, they're not going to take the time to call you and ask you, hey, I have your business card, but I don't know what city you're in. So make sure that your business card is a proper representation of your company, including what area you serve and your name, an email contact name, and a phone number, and maybe even, I see this on a lot of business cards in the limo industry, the airport codes for every airport you serve. Just smart business. If you're handing out business cards at the Chamber of Commerce, maybe they don't need to have the airport names on them, but they definitely need to tell people that you are a local company. Company name tag. When we're at a limo show, we're obviously all wearing the lanyards around our neck. They have our name, they have our company name, they have the city that we're from. But when you're going to a local event, like a Chamber of Commerce event, you might not have a tag like that. And maybe there isn't even an opportunity to fill out one of those silly adhesive labels that says, hello, I'm so-and-so, and you write it in. So I recommend that you have your own name tag made. And, how much you want to spend on it is up to you. But generally, you're looking at about a $10 investment. You can have your logo on it, which I highly recommend, and your name in a really big font so that when you're approaching somebody, they see your logo, they see your name, and maybe they've even heard of your name before, but they haven't met you yet. So here's an opportunity wearing a company name tag to draw attention to yourself and your company. Excuse me, I'm fighting a cold. The next thing is a Sharpie pen. The Sharpie pen is so much better than a regular pen when you're dealing with business cards because so many business cards today are high gloss cards, very difficult to write on with a ballpoint pen. So using a Sharpie, you can put a code on there. The code, I'm going to talk more about that in a minute, but you can put a simple one-letter code that will identify to you what type of person this is going to be in your future and where you see the relationship developing from the new friendship. Last but not least is the hit list. The hit list is the list that I just spoke about, where you want to talk specifically to certain people and then everybody else after that. So here we go. First of all, I want to remind you, when you're walking into a room full of strangers, take a deep breath and dive in. I don't care who you are. I don't care how confident you are. I don't care how often you do public speaking. When you walk into a room by yourself full of strangers, everybody gets butterflies. If you don't, there's something wrong with you. But the thing is, everybody in this room is there for the same purpose. They're there to network as well. So people want to meet you. You want to meet them. Before you ever arrive, I suggest that you plan a 30-second introduction speech. That would be similar to saying something like, "Hi, my name is Jim. I'm the owner of the Limousine Scene. We're a local transportation company that has sedans, vans, buses, and limos. So if you ever need any kind of transportation, I'm your guy to go to." Then ask people to tell you about themselves. I do think that people like to share their business. I do think they like to share information about themselves. So as soon as you finish your introduction speech, always invite the other person to tell you about themselves. And it just helps facilitate the conversation flow if you ask them and say, "What do you do for a living?" And encourage them to give you more information. If they give you a 30-second introduction speech and you're all about hearing 90 seconds, ask questions of them about their business. People will appreciate it. If you think about yourself, when people ask you, "Tell me more. What's the largest size bus that you offer? What would it cost to take a bus to, say, a Dodger game from our community?" Assuming you live in California. But you see where I'm going. I mean, get them to engage in conversation with you. If you walk into a room and everybody seems to be talking and you want to get in on a conversation, find a group conversation. Walk up to the group and introduce yourself. And don't be afraid. Don't ever be afraid to tell people, "I'm new here. I'm a new member to the Chamber of Commerce. This is my first time attending an LCT conference. This is my first time at the LCT Summit. Have you been here before?" Engage the group in conversation. Let them know that you're new. And trust me, you're going to be welcomed into it and you'll have new friends before you know it. On the opposite spectrum, I always look around the room to find what I call the loner. The person who comes to the networking event with the same intentions that I did, the same intentions that you did, but they're just simply too shy to go and strike up a conversation. Somebody needs to rescue them. So you could be that person, and if you're new to the group too, what a perfect introduction to walk up to the loner in the room and say, "Hi, I'm new here. I'm Jim Luff. I'm with the Limousine Scene. What do you do?" And start the conversation. It'll make them feel better. And if you need to buddy up and walk around the room together, great. Walk around the room together. You might even suggest, "I'm going to get a cocktail. Would you like to go to the bar with me right now?" And have them walk with you and stay together. On the flip side of that, I'm going to give you a word of caution on bringing a friend, a spouse, or even a coworker with you. It's something that we all probably want to do because we obviously feel better walking into the room with somebody on our side. I can tell you when Lexi and I are at a convention, many times you'll see us arrive in a room together, and because we're human, and it feels better to be walking with someone. But the word of caution in bringing a friend or a spouse or a coworker is don't engage in conversation with them that's so deep that people that might be wanting to meet you might be on their target list, won't come and talk to you because they fear that they're interrupting a conversation or something already going on. So if you bring somebody with you, my advice is fan out, divide and conquer. Share the hit list, go your separate ways. Sure, meet up and have a cocktail at a high top table or share a plate of food, but don't spend the entire event side by side with that person, communicating with them and not accomplishing what you're truly there to accomplish. You're not there at a party, so it's not like bringing somebody, to a social event where you're going to hang out and have a good time. You're there to work. You have a hit list. There's people you need to meet, and you need to focus on that and not get distracted with idle chit chat with a friend or somebody you brought. We're all here for the same thing. The key to keeping yourself relaxed, cool, calm, and collected is just remember that everybody's there for the same reason. They want to meet new people. They want to develop their own personal network, and they want to talk to as many people in the room as possible. So try not to be shy. Try to remember we're all in this together. The only reason we all ended up at the same networking event is we want to expand our sphere of influence. And that's what I like to call networking, your sphere of influence. Obviously, the more people you know, the more people are out there promoting your company, the more people that you have as resources. So if you have some type of business situation, perhaps you don't know anything about building a website and you want to deal with a local company. Knowing people that are in the business, you would have a much better opportunity to find somebody that could really build a website that represents your business proper by expanding your sphere of influence, and people knowing what you do, knowing how you do it, knowing what your business values are, knowing what your growth objectives are. This is what networking is all about. Sharing this type of information so that others can use your service and your knowledge and you as an individual as much as you can do the same with them. Conversation starters. I'm going to give you 8 engaging topics plus a bonus one. And ladies, when we get to the bonus one, it's only for you. So just hang in tight there. But the engaging topics, these are things that you can say to start a conversation. I've already mentioned introducing yourself and saying that you're new. It's probably, the easiest icebreaker. Is this your first time attending an event like this? It's an automatic conversation starter. Many times people will say, yes, it is. Is it yours? And there's the conversation. Other times you're going to get somebody that's going to sing like a canary, and they're going to tell you, no, I've been coming to this event for the past 6 years. I'm on the board of directors for the event. I'm on the planning committee that puts the event on. And there is a great person for you to be talking to that can introduce you to many others. So my number one go-to line is this your first time attending an event like this? Or customize it to, is this your first time attending the LCT Summit? Or is this the first time attending ILCT? Or, whatever it might be. Number 2, I'm new to this group. So without asking them if they've been before, you can just walk up and say, hi, I'm Jim Luff. I'm new to this group, and just leave it at that. The people in the group are all going to extend their hands. They're going to introduce themselves to you, and you'll have a whole new group of friends to talk to. And again, that's where you start your 30-second commercial introduction about yourself, and be sure to ask each one in the group to share with each other what they do for a living. Even if they're standing in a group, they may have just got together and met at this event. So you may be promoting the opportunity for these people to share their work environment, their work company, and themselves with other people in the group. Social media connections. I'm sure that you all see on social media periodically, I don't care what platform you are on, there are suggestions of people you should know, or people you might know, or you see on your friends' social media sites that they're interacting with a certain person. If you know that person, if you've been suggested to connect, it's a perfect opportunity. I can tell you the way social media works, and Lexi, if you need to jump in and correct me here, you can. But if social media is showing me I need to be friends with Susie Jones, I believe on Susie Jones' page, she's seeing you should be friends with Jim Luff. So the social media connections, if you have that as a common thread with someone in the room, why not say, hey, I see that you're friends with Jim Luff on Facebook. I am too, but we're not friends. What do you do for a living? Or something similar to that. But use those social media connections. If you recognize somebody from social media that you don't personally know, use social media as a conversation topic starter to say, hey, we're both on Facebook and I see you post regularly on so-and-so's page and I like your post, or whatever line you want to use. Number 4, are you a member? So this isn't always going to be appropriate, but certainly if you're at a Chamber of Commerce mixer, it would be appropriate to say, are you a member here? I'm a guest today, but I'm thinking about joining as a member. What do you like best about being in this association? So, this could be anything from a state limo association like GCLA or NELA or LANG, going to a meeting. Again, you may not know most of the people in the room, or you may know most and not some. It's a great conversation topic to say, are you a member, and what do you like about it? And you just might end up joining that association. Compliments of success. Who doesn't like to hear a compliment about their business? So this is an opening conversation. If you walk up to somebody and they are wearing one of the name tags that I mentioned earlier, it's a great conversation starter to walk up to them and say, oh, I've heard of your business. In fact, I saw last week that you're featured in the newspaper, or I saw your company on the news being featured as a source. That's really cool. Tell me more about your business. But starting with a compliment of saying that you saw them somewhere, or even to tell them, I have a friend that used your services last month and just raved about your company. I'd like to know more about your company. This will get somebody talking about their company, and then, of course, they should reciprocate by asking about your company. Now, I've told you that you should invite them to share with you information about their company. If somebody tells you all about their company and they don't ask you about yours, you got to just roll right into it. Don't let them walk away without telling them what you do, because you may be missing out on the opportunity of a lifetime. I take you back to the Kevin McCarthy story. Why in the world would I have wanted to strike up a conversation with a guy who just opened a new little sandwich shop that I'm probably never going to patronize? Well, it's all about fate. And I'm so glad that I took the time to get to know that man before he ascended to the level that he did in Congress. So don't ever let somebody get away without hearing what you do. What type of work do you do? This is a very basic conversation that we probably all have with people, from a total stranger sitting next to you on an airplane to somebody sitting next to you at an event. It's just a common conversation. What type of work do you do? So if you can't think of anything else to say, ask that, and then again, follow it up with what type of work you do, and tell them about your company. Do you want to grab a drink or a bite? This is something that I don't do with everybody, because obviously if you grabbed a drink with every single person that you met at a limo show, never mind, that happens, doesn't it? Anyway, if you feel that the conversation is engaging, you feel that this has potential to go somewhere, and you really want to spend more time with this person, then it's the time to say, I'm going to the bar to grab a drink. Would you like to come with me? Or I'm going to go sit down and have dinner now. Do you want to go through the food line with me? And then take a table together. In a story about this, I was introduced at a Chamber of Commerce mixer to a lady who said she had somebody else she wanted to introduce me to that she thought would be a good fit for me. The person that she introduced me to was the travel coordinator for Chevron of Central California, a regional office. How valuable do you think that was? So I didn't go there with Chevron on a hit list, but I did go there to meet people. And I got an introduction from somebody who said, hey, travel coordinator for Chevron, this guy does travel. He provides vehicles. That was the time to say, you want to go grab a drink? Or in that case, it was at a fairgrounds building and they were serving a barbecue dinner. And I said, hey, I'm going to go through the food line. You want to go with me? We ended up sitting down. And I can tell you that to this day, some 15 years later, that Chevron remains one of the largest accounts of the limousine scene, if not in the top 3, certainly in the top 5. And we don't just provide transportation in California, but somebody in Houston needing a ride to the airport in Houston calls our company here in Bakersfield. We farm it out to a Houston company. We also farm out in Saudi Arabia. And so that sit-down barbecue meal, spontaneous, at a networking event was probably one of the best things that ever happened in my life. And I mean my life, because it just opens so many great doors. So when you're networking, seize the moment, seize the opportunity. If you see it, steal it right now. All right, number 8. Did you grow up here? Alternately, where are you from? So, if you walk into a conversation and everybody has already talked about what they do for a living, but you see somebody in particular, or you hear something that a particular person says that makes you say, ooh, this is somebody that I need to know, strike up another conversation with them by saying, did you grow up here in Bakersfield, or did you grow up here in Houston, or wherever you happen to be? If you're at a trade show like ILCT or the Summit or anything like that industry related, then you would say, where are you from? What city are you from? And this gives the opportunity for somebody to tell you where they're from, what their company name is, what kind of vehicles they operate. One thing I'm going to say is make sure that once you get a conversation going, that you try to have some interesting dialogue. Do not simply exchange business cards and basic information and walk away. I guarantee you, by the time they've talked to 3 other people, you are forgotten. You are just a blur. So you definitely want to have some meaningful conversation that indicates that you're there for more than simply to collect as many business cards as you can. I'm going to take a side note right there, that collecting business cards is important, and you should get one from everybody that you speak to at a networking event, but how you follow up with them should never, ever be generic. It's downright offensive to me when I get emails that are obviously boilerplate, that have nothing to do with the business that I'm currently in, and are simply like looking for someone else to do business with them. And all of a sudden our friendly conversation turns into nothing more than, how can I get money from you? And I definitely think that each response, each follow-up should be somewhat personalized. And again, I will talk about that in the follow-up section. Okay, here we come for the girls' bonus. I love your purse. I love your shoes. I love your outfit. These are all things that girls can say to other girls, and I've watched it happen a million times. I work with some beautiful girls at Chosen Payments, and I hear them use that line all the time. Oh, I love your purse. But a guy, I just don't think it would come off the same if I said, oh, I love your shoes. So that is a conversation starter in itself. So if you see a girl standing somewhere and you like her shoes or her outfit or her purse, say it and start the conversation that way. Here are the don'ts. These are kind of important. Don't ask for a business card before some meaningful dialogue. That goes back to what I was just saying. I mean, if you walk up to somebody and you start the conversation with, do you have a business card? I mean, to me, that just says you're in the game to collect as many business cards as you can. You did not come here for meaningful networking. You did not come here to meet new people and actually get to know me and hear what my business is about and what I do and why I'm the best. So, have some conversation and make it appear that, hey, our conversation is so good together that you're somebody I want to keep in touch with. Can I get a card from you? And of course, always give them your card. Do not present a sales pitch or attempt to close a sale at a networking event. While we're certainly there to grab new clients and meet new clients and drum up new business, it just, for a networking event, comes off wrong if you do a hardcore sales pitch the very first time you meet somebody and you attempt to get them to buy something from you right now. So this particular seminar I'm talking to, or webinar, I'm talking to limo operators, but there's times that I do a very similar presentation for other industries. And I mean, it's just awful to me when somebody tries to sell somebody within 2 minutes of meeting them and puts high pressure on closing the sale. Don't be pushy if someone isn't interested in talking to you. If You can tell by body language if they're wanting to scoot away and go talk to somebody else, or they feel they have nothing in common with you and don't wish to continue the conversation. You may, at some other point in time, at another networking event, or just randomly in a restaurant, meet this person again and have another opportunity. But if they don't seem to be interested in talking to you, tell them it was very nice meeting you, shake their hand, and head on to talk to somebody else. Don't interrupt an ongoing conversation. If two people are obviously engaged in conversation, you never know how serious that conversation might be. So if you are heading to talk to them and you see that they're talking to somebody else, go talk to somebody else first and circle back to them. Don't come off as braggish in any way. First impressions are lasting impressions. And I mean, there's so much I could say about the limousine scene. I mean, we grew it from a 3-car operation when I got there to having 88 employees. But if I start the conversation with somebody like that and I tell them, hi, I'm Jim Leff, I'm with Limousine Scene. Oh, we won Operator of the Year from LCT. We won Operator of the Year from Limo Digest. We're the best limo company in town. We have great people working for us. That comes off a little bit braggish, and that's the first impression that they'll have. And that's not what I want them to have. So rather, in my 30-second commercial, I simply tell them about the services that we offer. And later on in the conversation, if there's actual dialogue going on or in subsequent conversations, I can tell them all about my accolades and who we do business with and try to earn their business. But make that first impression a great impression. Again, don't forget to get a business card, and don't forget to give a business card, and don't forget to code the card. And we're going to talk about coding. The coding will really, really help you out. And using a single letter abbreviation doesn't take a long time to write, because you don't want to be looking down at their card and writing on it and writing things like the lady with the red hair and the blue hat or whatever right in front of them. So to put a little code on there will help make it easier for you and certainly help with the follow-up. The do's. Do get their business card. Do arrive with that hit list whenever possible. I really, really think that this is important, that when you're going to an event, you have a pretty good idea in most cases of who goes to these things, unless it's a first-time event for you. But to me, when I was going to a limo show in the very beginning, there are people that I wanted to talk to because I felt like they had insight that could help me. I wanted to talk to Scott Salambrino. I wanted to talk to Dawson Rudder. There's those names I heard in the industry. I knew who they were, but I didn't know them. So I arrived with a hit list. And I can tell you, my departed friend, Dean Schuler, was one of the first to take me under his wing and walk me around the show floor and introduce me to people. And I basically gave Dean my hit list along with Wade Randolph and said, these are the people I want to meet. Can you guys help me? And they took me to every single person on my hit list and introduced me. Do talk to all the targets on your hit list first. And I'm going to use somebody like Dawson as an example. Dawson may come to an event and may make an appearance and may be there for 10 to 15 minutes. Usually everybody in the room wants to talk to him, and then he's gone. So when you have a hit list, make sure when you see one of your targets come in the room at the beginning of the event, that is the first person you talk to, because your hit list defines who it is that you need to talk to be successful. So don't let that success slip away by letting them get out of the room. Do invite new friends to join you at the bar or buffet. As I mentioned before, when you meet people, keep that friendship going. Build dialogue. Build the relationship. Take more time to get to know them, their business, and share your business. Do introduce your new friends to others you might know. This is really important in a networking event because, like I said, everybody's there to network. Everybody wants to meet new people. So do your part by taking the new people that you met and introducing them to others that you might know. You have no idea how valuable it might be to your new friend, your new contact, to meet one of your existing contacts. So it's very important at a networking event that there's give and take going in both directions. Who are these people? When you walk into a large room of strangers, it certainly can be intimidating. And the first thing I think that we all do by human nature is scan the room. You start looking throughout the room for anybody that you know. Do you recognize anybody that you know? Do you recognize people that you don't know, that you want to know? Are there people that can help your business? Take a moment to survey the room. See who's in the room, matched up with your hit list and your strategy of meeting the people on the hit list first, then potential customers after that, and then anybody else. And you're probably going to talk to a handful of people that will never do business with you. You'll never do business with them, and you probably spent 2 or 3 minutes of your life investing time with them. But again, don't dismiss it that never, ever in your future may they not play a part in it. You never know. Here's my way of doing it. Walk in, I hit the hit list first so that anybody that I need to talk to, want to talk to, I get them first. The second on my list of people to talk to is politicians. Now, you may think that that's kind of funny, but remember, I do a lot of charity work and I do a lot of fundraising for different organizations. Politicians have become invaluable to me in drumming up support. If I can get a politician to come to one of my charity events, I can usually get people coming just so they can talk to the politician or meet that politician. But going back to the Kevin McCarthy story, I never knew back in the day when I met Kevin that later on in life that he would ascend to be the leader of the House and that I would be instrumental in setting up a meeting between the NLA and Kevin McCarthy. Within my own state, I have several, basically anybody that's an elected official within my community, whether they're a state assembly rep, a state senator, or a local mayor, a county supervisor, a city councilman or alderman, all of those people are my friends on a personal level. You really, really never know when you're going to need a politician in your back pocket. They're very influential people. They have very wide circles or spheres of influence that you can tap into. And I just can't stress enough. If you're in a room with a politician that serves your community, your county, your state, or your nation, you need to walk up and introduce yourself to that person and let them know that you run a small business in America and this is what you're all about, and make sure they know your name, make sure you get a card. But again, politicians are a lot like the people that are on my hit list. They come and make an appearance, they shake a bunch of hands, and then they vaporize. So make sure you get an opportunity to meet with them. Media people, personalities, AEs is account executives. These are the next people that are really valuable to me in promoting my business, in promoting charity events that I do in the community, and getting the word out about anything. Earlier, I talked about exploiting people. Well, let me tell you how I exploited the media. Prom season was coming up, and it's something that Limousine Scene does engage in actively in chartering limos to prom kids. So in order to drum up publicity, I went to one of my media friends, an on-air personality that I had met at a mixer, and I said, you know, it would be a great story. It would be a great public education story to let people know what they should look for in chartering a limousine for their young teen, and what the responsibilities of the limo company are, what the responsibilities of the parents are, what a prom contract is, et cetera, et cetera. Guess where they shot the spot? Yep, right in the garage of the Limousine Scene. I sold out for prom limos the next day. So again, you're walking in, you take a look around the room and you say, how can these people help me? Well, a media person can help get the word out. And I've developed such a good relationship with the media people in my community that if I was to say anything about limos that needs to be publicized, they would publish it. They would air the story on the 5 o'clock news. So get to know these people at mixers. Let them know that you're a source of information for them. Anything they want to know about the travel industry, anything they want to know about Uber or Lyft, come to you to talk to you. That way, we control the spin on what's being put out in the media. But again, media people, good people to know. High-profile community or industry members or leaders. Again, this is going to depend on what kind of event you're actually attending. If you're within your community, you know who the high rollers are. High rollers are your customer. High rollers with disposable cash are the type of people that you would definitely want to be a part of what you're doing. Potential mentors, potential vendors, and of course the event organizers. You want to get to know them as well. All right. So we're running out of time here. We're going to move up a little faster. The ABCs of coding. Use your Sharpie pen to write A, B, C, D, or E. And these, you can see how they might fit into your schedule, so, or your goals. A being a potential new client. Just code these so that you can follow up later, and we'll move on to the follow-up. The highest priority follow-ups are going to be your A and B codes. These are people that you're potentially going to do business with. So create an A and B version letter that can be modified for each person that you met. Don't say, dear potential affiliate, say, dear Jim. The letter can be the same for everyone, but say, dear Jim. Personalize it. If we sat down and had a meal together, say that. I enjoyed sharing a meal with you. I enjoyed the cocktail we shared together, but make them recall your brief encounter. Always address them by name so it doesn't look spammy. The A letter, briefly explain or recap the services you offer, your service area, the vehicles you offer, anything unique about your business, whether you have armed chauffeurs, you operate a Rolls Royce or a Rollies Royce in this case, sorry about that, vintage cars. Anyway, make it very personal. The B letter, this is a potential affiliate. Include the affiliate agreement to review. Let them know this is how we handle affiliates. If you sign the agreement ahead of time, if a run comes up in your city, it's guaranteed that you're going to have it. Make sure you share your membership information, that you're a member of NLA, GCLA, anything local, whatever you're a member of, share it. All the others should be followed up in a timely manner with a phone call or email to keep the door of opportunity open for the future development of the relationship. Invite a potential vendor to visit you. Invite a potential mentor to go to lunch and see where the new relationship can go. About those e-cards, don't throw them away. Again, you never know when the deli man might become a congressman. Save it in a file. Today, there's so many different things for managing cards. These are apps: CamCard, Evernote, SamCard, iCapture. iCapture, you pay, I think, a quarter. You scan the card, a bunch of cards at one time, and they'll put it into a database for you that you can use forever after that. It's 25 cents. CamCard, $8 a month for as many cards as you want to send them. All right. It's Q&A time. So if I haven't covered anything and you want to throw a question at me, I'll do my best to answer it.
All right, so if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and type them in and I'll relay them to Jim. Don't be shy. We still got about roughly 10 minutes before we come up on an hour here.
I must have done a fantastic job.
You are outstanding, Jim.
No questions, anybody?
No
Come
questions?
on, Todd Roberts, throw me a question.
Oh, okay, I have a wait, so they're trying to type. I guess that would be kind of difficult. Oh, Betsy says great job.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and thanks for coming.
Very informative, she says. Jeanette says great job, Jim.
Thank you.
Ah, okay, excellent question. We have one from Todd Roberts. Is it important to have your photo on business cards?
I don't think it's necessarily required, but I think that it's becoming a bigger trend today. And because I do have my photo on my business card, it really has helped facilitate people remembering who I was by being able to see my face. So I would say don't throw a box of business cards out that you haven't used up, but the next time that you get them, certainly I would consider adding my face to it. Another a side note to that, Todd, and I'm glad you brought that up, is I'm sure that all of you have had this happen to you in the past where you set up a meeting with somebody. I just did it this morning where I'm going to meet somebody at the Bayside Buffet at Mandalay Bay next month at 8 o'clock in the morning who I've never met in my life. So if you exchange business cards with somebody or include your photo on your email signature, it sure does make people easy. It makes it easier for people to find you at an event.
All right. Mark says, please talk a little more about how to introduce and network others during an event.
Not really understanding that. How to engage them in conversation?
I think he's talking about like when you're walking someone around who's like new.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, this is a real live scenario, and you guys might think I'm crazy for doing this, but there's a new limo company, or I should say a company here in Bakersfield that was acquired by a young lady by the name of Chrissy, and I met her at a trade show, not here in Bakersfield where we both live, and I basically walked around and took her to every single person that I saw that I knew and said, hi, I wanted to introduce you to Chrissy. She's new in the industry. This is the first time she's ever attended a limo show. She's in my home city of Bakersfield, and I'll let Chrissy tell you a little bit more about what she does, and then throw the floor to them. But it's very, very easy to take somebody to someone you already know and say, this is my new friend, Lexi. And Lexi, tell Bob a little bit more about your job at LCT. And it's a natural flow of conversation after that. Great question.
All right, another one. When you go to a networking event, how do you get outside of the same circle?
Stay away from the existing circle. And I understand the question well, because I think that we all, as I mentioned, you walk into the room, you look around the room, you're looking for who do I know in the room, and it's a natural tendency to want to gravitate towards the people that you know. It's a comfort zone. It's human. But really, once you've said your hellos to them and let them know that you're in the building, it's time to look around to other people that you don't know, and it is awkward. But I've given you 8 great lines to introduce yourself to other people, but walk away from the comfort zone and find people that are standing in a group talking or sitting somewhere that you haven't met before and use one of the 8 lines on them.
Excellent. Let's see. I have Jeanette to quickly answer your question. She asked, will there be a PDF provided of this webinar? Actually, the webinar itself will be recorded, so you'll be able to pause and start at any time you want. And then I think we'll take this question as the last question from Matt. He says, I mostly attend networking events when I see they made a Facebook event. What is the best source to find out what networking events are coming up?
I would say Facebook is certainly in the top 3. Your local Chamber of Commerce should be your number 1 go-to site. Chamber of Commerce, by the very nature of their name, are engaged in building commerce among local business people. So your Chamber of Commerce will more than likely have an online calendar of events coming up. You might want to check your local newspaper in the online version for events coming up in your community. And sometimes community events may not be billed as a networking event, but you can look at the title of it and what the event is about and realize that you can make it a networking event for yourself, even though it may not be an official networking event. And I am going to throw out, if any of you want this slide presentation, please email me at jim@lctmag.com. That's jim@lctmag.com, and I'll email you the entire presentation.
Excellent. All right. So that's all about the time we have for today. But for anyone who asked a question that wasn't answered, you can feel free to reach out to Jim on social media. I'm sure he wouldn't mind. We hope that you enjoyed today's event, and we want to thank you for your time and participation. At the end of the webinar, you'll receive a short survey, so if you could please take a few minutes to fill that out, it would definitely help us to continue to improve. I also want to mention this webinar will be available on demand on the LCT website under the More tab, where you'll find a link to the video portion of our site. Thank you, and thank you, Jim.
Thank you, and everybody have a happy Easter, and I'm very happy that you came to the presentation today. Goodbye.
Bye.